Okay, today we are on lesson 10, session 4, which is refine dividing fractions. And I'm going to add a little focus statement up here. Might help you understand what we're trying to do as we go through. Okay, today we're going to focus on making sure we're changing mixed numbers to improper fractions. Okay, I know we touched on this yesterday a little bit, but I'm going to make sure you understand that's our goal by the end of this lesson. So we have more practice with this. On a refine lesson, it's just practice. That's what we're doing. We're taking the skills we have learned in session 1, 2, and 3 and using them in this lesson. So we're going to start with the example at the top. Sarah uses this recipe to make trail mix. So her recipe is over here. Okay, she uses 2.5 cups of almond, 3/4 a cup of dried cherries, 2 1/4 cup of walnuts, and 3/4 cups of raisins. Okay. Each bag holds 1 1/4 of a cup. How many bags does Sarah fill? Look how you could show your work using operations with fractions. Okay, so this is a multi-step problem. We first have to figure out the total. When we add them all up, the trail mix, we mix it together, what do we get? So if we find the total first, we're going to take 2.5 plus 3/4 plus 2 1/4 plus 3/4. Okay, if you look over here, what they did is they noticed that these three numbers already shared a common denominator. Because they share a common denominator, they're easier to add. So if we're adding 3/4 plus 2 1/4 plus 3/4, okay, we could go ahead and add up our 3/4 and 3/4. So we have 2 1/4 plus 6/4. Okay, and then we could add our 6 and our 1 here. So we'll have 2 and 7/4, which we can pull out a group of 4. So we'll be left with 3 and 3/4. So here's their 3 and 3/4 from adding. Then we're left with 2.5. Well, to add these two together, so to add 3 and 3/4 plus 2.5, we have to make common denominators. 4 and 2, they share the least common multiple of 4. So we can leave our 3 and our 3/4 alone. But we're going to change this to a 4 by multiplying by 2. That means our numerator is also multiplied by 2. When I add 3 plus 2 is 5, 3 plus 2 is 5/4. I can pull out a group of 4 from there, and I'm left with 6 and 1/4, which is what they got. Okay, but I am not done yet, because now I have to go and do 6 and 1/4 divided by 1 and 1/4, because we have our total amount, and now we're seeing how many, if you remember back to the original problem. Okay, the original problem said that each bag can hold 1 1/4, and we have a total of 6 and 1/4. Okay, try giving myself some more room here. So we have 6 and 1/4 divided by 1 and 1/4. Okay, first thing you have to do is make them all improper fractions. So talking about improper, I would do 4 times 6, which is 24. 4 times 6 is 24. Add your numerator. I'm left with 25/4. Keeping my division sign for right now. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So I have 5/4. Now, if you remember back, we talked about same as multiplying by the reciprocal. Keep my first number the same. Change it to multiplication. Flip, which is the reciprocal, that. I'm going to be left with 25 times 4, which is 100. 4 times 5, which is 20. How many 20s are in 100? There are 5. So my answer for this problem is, how many can she fit in, how many bags, She can make 5 bags. Okay. This was a fairly complicated problem in the fact that there were multi-steps. Each step wasn't hard, but you can see how if you don't take your time, slow down, change the common denominators, how easy it is to make a mistake. Okay, I beg of you for these next couple of problems, do what you did on the last pages. I will read the problem. Maybe you need help setting it up, but then go back and actually try the problem by yourself, then watch the video. Okay.
Okay.
So number one, Hiroki buys 3.5 gallons of paint. Okay, on problem number one, Hiroki buys 3.5 gallons of paint. He uses 1.5 gallons. What fraction of the paint that Hiroki buys does he use? So in this situation, we're trying to figure out what fraction of 3.5 gives me 1.5. Okay, this is our problem we have set up. So when we look at this though, we're going to take our 1.5 and we're going to divide it, okay, and we're going to divide it by our 3.5. Okay, to do this problem, we really have 1.5 divided by 3.5. Okay, so looking at this, make it improper. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3/2. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7/2. Okay, now we can look at our SMR. Okay, same, multiply reciprocal. 3.5 times 2/7. Multiply across, we'll get 6/14 as our answer. Okay, we can also simplify that to 3/7. So what fraction of the paint does he buy? He buys 3/7. We're going to flip on over to the next page, 227. I'm going to look at the first one here. Number 4. Okay, we're going to start at number 2. Tiana uses 1 3/5 ounce of detergent for each full load of laundry. How many full loads of laundry can she do with 100 ounces of detergent? Show your work. So in this situation, we're looking at what we're starting with. We're starting with 100 ounces, and we're trying to figure out how many 1 3/5 are in that 100 ounces. Okay, so looking at SMR here, we have to make this 1 3/5 into an improper fraction. 5 times 1 plus 3. So 5 times 1 is 5, plus 3 is 8. That gives us our 8/5. So our problem is actually making 100 into a fraction, 100 over 1 divided by 8/5. So next step is our SMR. Same, multiply reciprocal. Okay, change it, flip it. So 500 over 8. Now, it does not say that you have to simplify this. But in a real life situation, if I was looking at this problem, 500 over 8 doesn't give me a lot of good info. I need to figure out how many 8s are in 500. Okay, to save you time here, because this problem has a lot of steps, 62 would be my whole groups, and then I'd have half of a serving. So I could do 62 full loads and then half of my next one. Okay. Number 3, which expression can be used to determine the number of 3/4 cup servings in 1/2? You always see what you're starting with. Okay, I'm sorry, that 8 comes over. You're starting with 3/4. Right? No, 3/4 is what you're asking for. You are starting with 1/2. Okay, 1/2 is what you have. You have a 1/2 cup of pasta salad. Because you have a 1/2 cup, you know these two automatically are wrong. Okay, we're trying to figure out how many 3/4 are in a 1/2. SMR says I keep my 1/2 the same, change it to multiplication, flip, and my answer is B. I don't have to even solve it. I could. I would get 3/8, but you don't have to. Okay, let's go ahead and go on to number 4. A new nature trail is 8/10 of a mile long. A park ranger divides the trail into 4 equal sections. How long is each section of the trail? Show your work. So in this case, this problem is pretty straightforward. Okay, you know a nature trail is 8/10. We're taking that 8/10 and dividing it into 4 groups. Okay, this situation where you could draw a picture, we could draw our 8/10. We haven't drawn a picture in a while. Splitting them in. Remember, this is a point where you could pause if you need to. And there's my 8/10 here. So make sure you have that drawn just to kind of give you refresher on drawing. So I have my 8/10. I'm dividing them into 4 groups. So if I have 8 divided by 4, I know that 2 go in each group. Each of these sections are a 1/10. So that means 1 section is 2/10. Now on this problem, you could also do it through SMR. 8/10 divided by 4/1, same as multiplying by the reciprocal. You get 8/40, which would eventually simplify to 2/10. Okay, so either way, I just wanted to show you the model still works. It's just a matter of efficiency. Estelle has 10 feet cubed of soil. She uses 3.5 feet in her garden. She uses the rest of the soil for tomato plants. She needs 3/4 feet of the soil for each tomato plant. How many tomato plants can she plant? That's a lot. So first thing, we know she's using 3.5 feet in her garden, but she's using the rest of the soil for the tomatoes, which is what we have to figure out. So we actually have to take 10, and we have to take that away from 3.5. Okay? If you have 10 minus 3.5, we could set it up, but you should know that's 6.5, right? 6 and 3 is 9. 1/2 would give you 10. So I really didn't have to put it over 1. So we're starting with 6.5. We're going to take our 6.5 and divide it among the 3/4. Okay, so give me some more room. We have 6.5 divided by 3/4. Make it improper. 2 times 6 is 12 plus 1 is 13. Make it multiplication, flip. 13 times 4 is 52. 52/6 is my answer, but honestly, that doesn't tell me a whole lot. I can simplify this. I'll have 8 times 6 is 48, and give me 4/6 left over. So these two numbers are equal, so either one you want to put. Okay, I'm going to have you skip number 6. We don't need to focus on that one. That one's not as important to me as some of the other ones that we need to do. So you can skip number 6. Okay. Last page, 7, 8, and 9. Let's go ahead and look at these. 7, Cuerda spreads grass seed on her lawn. She needs 5/6 a pound of grass seed to cover her whole lawn. She has 1/3, but she needs 5/6. How much can she cover? Okay, so you can use a rectangle to represent the pound. So we could draw a picture of this. Okay, we could also talk about how this would work as a division problem. Either way works here. It's just whatever you feel the most comfortable with. Okay, if you want to stick to the algorithm method, you're going to always start down what she has. She has 1/3, and we're trying to figure out how many groups of that 5/6 go into it. Okay, so this is a pretty simple one for SMR. Same, multiply, reciprocal. You keep the first number the same, change it to multiplication, reciprocal, 6/15. So she needs 6/15. Okay, you can also look at this knowing that 3 is a factor and go 2/5. Either way. Okay. Number 8. What is 4 and 1/7 divided by 2 and 1/14? Okay, so 4 and 1/7, we're talking about making it improper first. So 4 and 1/7 to be 4 times 7 plus 1, 29/7. 2 and 1/14, 2 times 4 is 2 times 14 is 28 plus 1 is 29/14. So SMR, same, multiply, reciprocal. Okay, these are really big numbers. I'm going to show you a little bit of a trick here. If you look cross multiplication, they're both a 29. Since they're both a 29, you can make them 1 because you're really dividing by 29. Since they match, they both become 1. Now you have 1 times 14, 1 times 7. 14 divided by 7 is 2. You could multiply this out. Going through, I think, obviously 29 across is going to get you a large number, but if you want to, you can. Okay, and then number 9, I'm going to have you skip that. We'll talk about it together in class.